In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NBA games happening on February 7, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. San Antonio Spurs vs. Charlotte Hornets. This interconference matchup on the hardwood takes place in Buzz City, where the San Antonio Spurs will go head-to-head against the Charlotte Hornets on Friday night. San Antonio enters this contest fresh off an exciting and narrow 126-125 road victory over the Atlanta Hawks on Wednesday night, although they failed to cover the spread as a 4-point favorite. Meanwhile, Charlotte suffered a 112-102 home defeat at the hands of the Milwaukee Bucks that same night, though they did manage to cover the line as a sizable 10.5-point underdog. Historically, in their all-time regular season meetings, the Spurs have dominated, holding a commanding 45-23 advantage. However, it was the Hornets who emerged victorious in their most recent clash, securing a hard-fought 124-120 home win on January 19, 2024. San Antonio continues to deal with injury concerns as Charles Bassey remains sidelined, leaving them somewhat shorthanded in the front court. On the other side, the Hornets will closely monitor the status of star guard LaMelo Ball, who is currently listed as questionable for this matchup. While the Spurs have endured their fair share of struggles this season, they were able to secure a thrilling victory over Atlanta on Wednesday, providing them with much-needed momentum. Despite their inconsistent play, the oddsmakers have opened San Antonio as significant favorites against a Charlotte team that is currently mired in a deep slump, having won just one of their last 9 games. Attempting to bet on a team in free fall is never an ideal strategy, and unfortunately, that is precisely the situation surrounding the Charlotte Hornets at the moment. San Antonio has quietly made strides on the defensive end, climbing into the top 10 in opponent effective field goal percentage. Additionally, they have maintained a solid presence in the paint, consistently ranking near the top 10 in opponent paint scoring. On the offensive side of the ball, the Spurs have excelled in 2 critical areas. They have been effective in securing offensive rebounds and have also done a commendable job of limiting turnovers. These factors could play a pivotal role in helping them take control of this contest. The Charlotte Hornets are a team without much direction this season, as they have fallen well out of contention in the Eastern Conference playoff race. At the trade deadline, they made the decision to part ways with one of their most productive contributors, Williams, signaling their shift toward a rebuild. Compounding their struggles, the team continues to deal with a slew of injuries that have left them severely short-handed. Meanwhile, San Antonio recently integrated De'Aaron Fox into their lineup following his acquisition in a blockbuster 3-team trade that also sent Zach LaVine to the Sacramento Kings. Fox made an immediate impact in his Spurs debut, and his presence has injected a sense of optimism into a team that still has aspirations of making a postseason push. While the Spurs remain on the fringes of the playoff picture, they possess an intriguing mix of young talent and experienced veteran leadership, making them a dangerous opponent. The Charlotte Hornets entered this game on a downward spiral, having lost 6 consecutive games, and their roster has been significantly depleted. Not only are they missing their 2 most impactful players, Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, but they also dealt away Mark Williams, Trey Mann, and Cody Martin, further thinning their lineup. Given their current state, it is difficult to take the Hornets seriously as a competitive threat. While the San Antonio Spurs have had their own struggles, dropping 7 of their last 10 games, they still have postseason aspirations and need to capitalize on matchups like this one. De'Aaron Fox showed flashes of brilliance in his first game with the team, and as he continues to gain chemistry with his new teammates, his impact is only expected to grow. While the Spurs are still a young team and have endured their share of inconsistencies, this is a game they simply must win. The Hornets lack the necessary depth and talent to mount a serious challenge, making this a prime opportunity for San Antonio to secure a decisive victory. San Antonio undoubtedly has more firepower than Charlotte at this juncture. The Spurs enter this matchup coming off an impressive win, and with each passing game, they should continue to improve as Fox becomes more acclimated to his new surroundings. So the San Antonio Spurs to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. San Antonio has consistently played in high-scoring affairs, with 8 of their last 10 games surpassing the projected total. With the addition of Fox to their roster, their offensive production is likely to see further improvement moving forward. Over their last 10 outings, the Spurs have averaged 117 points per game, a figure that ranks among the better scoring teams in the league. Additionally, they play at an up-tempo pace, ranking 11th in the NBA with an average of 99.3 possessions per contest. On the other hand, Charlotte has struggled offensively, managing just 106 points per game over their last 10 matchups. However, they may still find some success against a San Antonio defense that remains vulnerable at times. The Hornets play at a slightly slower pace, ranking 21st in tempo with 97.7 possessions per game. Historically, when these two teams meet, high-scoring games have been the norm. 4 of their last 6 encounters have gone over the total. Given the factors at play, this matchup is likely to follow that trend, with San Antonio putting up a significant point total. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Cleveland Cavaliers versus Washington Wizards. This Eastern Conference showdown features two teams sitting at opposite ends of the standings, set to battle it out on the hardwood in the nation's capital. The Cleveland Cavaliers will face off against the Washington Wizards on Friday night in what promises to be an intriguing matchup. Cleveland enters this contest following a narrow 118-115 victory over the Detroit Pistons on the road Wednesday night. Despite securing the win, the Cavaliers failed to cover the spread as 3.5-point favorites. Meanwhile, the Washington Wizards are coming off an impressive performance, securing a commanding 119-102 road victory over the Brooklyn Nets that same night. Notably, the Wizards entered that game as a 5.5-point underdog but managed to pull off the outright win. Historically, Cleveland has had the upper hand in this head-to-head battle, leading the all-time regular season series 120-118. The Cavaliers have completely dominated the Wizards in recent years, winning 11 consecutive matchups, including their most recent meeting on December 13, 2024, where Cleveland secured a 115-105 victory on their home court. As the Cavaliers prepare for this matchup, they will be closely monitoring the status of their newly acquired player, DeAndre Hunter, while also expecting the return of star guard Donovan Mitchell to the lineup. On the other side, the Wizards are keeping a close watch on their recent additions, Marcus Smart and K.A. Tris Middleton, both of whom could play a key role in their effort to snap Cleveland's winning streak against them. Given the talent disparity between the two rosters, the Cavaliers undoubtedly have the capability to dominate Washington. After all, Cleveland has won 11 straight meetings between these two teams, and the last time the Wizards managed to defeat them was all the way back in December 2021, when Kevin Love and Lauri Markkanen were still members of the Cavaliers. However, despite Cleveland's track record of success, the sizable spread for this game is unusual by NBA standards. Historically, the Cavaliers have struggled to cover large spreads, posting a disappointing 4-9 record against the spread in their last 13 games as a favorite of 15 or more points, dating back to 2017. Even more recently, Cleveland has gone just 4-4 against the spread in its last 8 contests, when favored by double digits. Meanwhile, Washington has quietly strung together 3 consecutive victories. While this recent winning streak may not seem overly significant, it likely provides the Wizards with a much-needed confidence boost heading into this matchup. So the Washington Wizards to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. On paper, this game features a stark contrast between one of the league's most explosive offenses and its most porous defense, which might lead one to expect a high-scoring affair. The Cavaliers boast the second-best scoring offense in the NBA, while the Wizards have the worst defensive unit in terms of points allowed. However, recent trends suggest that this game may not be as high-scoring as one might initially anticipate. Cleveland enters this contest having seen the total go under in each of its last 2 games, while Washington has played under the total in 6 of its last 10 contests. Additionally, historical data between these two teams supports the idea of a lower scoring game. 7 of the last 10 matchups between Cleveland and Washington have stayed under the projected total, including 5 of the last 6 meetings. Given all the roster changes and moving pieces for the Wizards, it could be difficult to count on them to generate a massive offensive output in this game. Meanwhile, the Cavaliers are also dealing with lineup adjustments due to injuries and recent trades, which could impact their offensive rhythm. Considering these factors, this game is likely to fall short of the projected point total. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Miami Heat versus Brooklyn Nets. The revamped Miami Heat are set to travel to Brooklyn on Friday night, where they will face off against the struggling Nets. Miami recently made a significant roster change, finalizing a trade on Wednesday night that saw them part ways with longtime star player Jimmy Butler in a three-team deal. This marks the end of an era for the Heat, as Butler had been the heart and soul of the team for several years. Meanwhile, the Brooklyn Nets, who are playing on the second night of a back-to-back, find themselves far removed from the Eastern Conference playoff picture, struggling to find consistency in their performance. Miami's focus will be on integrating their new additions, Davion Mitchell and Andrew Wiggins, both of whom bring valuable skills to the roster. On the other hand, the Nets continue to deal with injuries and have already ruled out key players Bojan Bogdanovic and Cam Thomas for this matchup. Despite the off-court distractions caused by the recent trade, the Heat have managed to maintain a competitive edge, securing 4 victories in their last 6 contests. Meanwhile, the Nets had shown signs of life with 3 surprising wins before suffering a disappointing and lopsided defeat against the Washington Wizards. With the departure of Jimmy Butler, the Heat can finally put behind them the uncertainty and turmoil that surrounded the team. This transition should allow Miami to move forward with a clearer sense of direction. The addition of Andrew Wiggins provides the Heat with a defensive-minded wing who also possesses versatility on the offensive end, making him a valuable asset to their system. Additionally, Davion Mitchell brings an energetic presence to the backcourt, playing a style reminiscent of Gabe Vincent, who had a key role with the team in previous seasons. Despite all the drama that has unfolded this season, the Heat currently hold the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. Conversely, the Nets have struggled to string together consistent performances due to both roster changes and persistent injuries that have hindered their ability to develop team chemistry. Miami has already established dominance over Brooklyn this season, leading the season series 2-0 while keeping the Nets under 100 points in both meetings. Now that the trade is finalized, the Heat can breathe a sigh of relief, knowing they no longer have to navigate the distractions that plagued their locker room. Although it is unlikely that their newly acquired players will be available for Friday's game, Miami still possesses enough firepower to handle a faltering Brooklyn squad. The Heat had already mentally moved on from Butler even before the trade was completed, and they have adjusted well to playing without him. Tyler Herro has stepped up in Butler's absence, emerging as the focal point of Miami's offense. Bam Adebayo, a dominant force in the paint, should have a field day against a Brooklyn defense that struggles to protect the interior. Offensively, Miami excels at spreading the floor and capitalizing on their three-point shooting, ranking 6th in the league in made three-pointers per game. This plays heavily to their advantage against a Nets squad that ranks a dismal 28th in the NBA in three-point defense. While rebounding has been a weakness for Miami, they are still superior to Brooklyn in this department, which should help them limit the Nets' second chance opportunities. Typically, I tend to avoid backing the Miami Heat when they are sizable favorites, as they have a tendency to play down to the level of their competition. The Heat have historically struggled to cover large spreads, often suffering unexpected losses. However, Miami has displayed encouraging flashes of strong play in recent weeks, and they cannot afford to let winnable games slip away if they hope to solidify their playoff positioning. Additionally, the resolution of the Jimmy Butler situation should bring much-needed stability to the team's locker room. The Brooklyn Nets, on the other hand, are dealing with injuries, have lost 7 of their last 10 games, and no longer cover spreads as effectively as they once did. Miami has already defeated Brooklyn twice this season, both straight up and against the spread. While the Nets are certainly capable of pulling off an upset, the Heat are clearly the team in better form, and I believe they will take care of business at this reasonable spread against an inconsistent Brooklyn team. So the Miami Heat to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both teams are currently adjusting to playing with depleted lineups, forcing them to find new sources of offensive production. The Heat have had to recalibrate their offense without Butler's contributions, and they are also likely to be without Wiggins and Anderson as those players finalize their transition to Miami. Meanwhile, the Nets are still missing their most reliable scorer, Cam Thomas, who remains sidelined with an injury. Both squads prefer a slow-paced style of play, with the Nets ranking dead last in the league in pace and the Heat sitting at 26th. Scoring has been an issue for both teams, as they each rank in the bottom 10 in total points per game. The previous 2 meetings between these teams have both hit the under, a trend that is likely to continue. Miami is not an offensive juggernaut, averaging just 111 points per game. The Heat lack multiple shot creators, which puts a heavy burden on Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo to generate offense. With their recent acquisitions unavailable for this matchup, Miami will continue to play at one of the slowest tempos in the league. Meanwhile, Brooklyn has endured offensive struggles throughout the season, ranking 27th in offensive rating. The Nets have failed to reach 100 points in both of their previous encounters with Miami and currently rank last in the NBA in both field goals made and attempted per game. Given these factors, this game is shaping up to be another low-scoring affair. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.